Welcome to Wealthy Mind, where we talk about all things finances, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the surprising. Welcome to Wealthy Mind. I am your host, Misty Rose Gold, and I have Luke McConville back once again to talk with us. But today we are going to talk about his business. So welcome back, Luke.
Hey, Misty. Thank you. Thank you for having me again. It's a great day to see you.
Yeah, for sure. It's a pleasure to have you back on the podcast. So,
Thank you.
Do you want to tell the audience about your business? What is your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now I'm flipping houses here in Denver. I've been doing it since last October with a business partner, a couple business partners. So yeah, it's even with high interest rates, we're still seeing good margins on houses. Materials, that's been one thing. But yeah, no, the fix and flip business is still great if you can find the right property. Don't have to do too much dirty work.
Well, that's nice. So you're seeing really good progress even with interest rates where they are. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, people are still buying. It's definitely turning into more of a buyer's market right now as there's more inventory available. But I mean, we're still seeing, people still need to buy houses, especially come summertime when people are more adamant to move as opposed to during the winter months. So yeah, it's still going pretty smoothly.
I love that because there's so much talk out there right now and so many different perceptions on the market. And you're still doing great, even in a market that's kind of funky right now.
Right. You always hear the people, hey, I'm going to invest when this happens or when this happens and when rates drop. And it's like, you know what? That's all just through a crystal ball. So just, there's never a better time to do it than now.
Right.
Prices are going to keep going up. Whether rates drop or if they go up, I mean, it's, real estate's a pretty interesting market when it comes to that side of things.
And people still have to buy houses.
Exactly. I mean, yeah,
It's
people still
like it's
moving.
necessity.
Right. Yeah, you got to have a roof over your head, whether you rent or you buy.
Exactly.
People are moving in and out of the state still consistently. So yeah, and I would encourage people if they're thinking about it to definitely get going on it.
Yeah, don't wait for the perfect time.
Right. Because then you got all the other people who have been waiting for the perfect time as well, who you're competing with now.
That is a very good point. I love that. So what got you into the fix and flip business?
Yeah, I mean, I've always, for the longest time, always had an interest in real estate just in general. Growing up, I saw my grandparents, my grandpa owned a couple commercial properties. And just the older I got, the more books I started reading that just really knew that majority of people who have built a pretty substantial wealth, they've done it through real estate one way or another, whether that be their first deal or they're doing it now or whatever. Real estate has always, it seemed like, built generational wealth. And so, yeah, have always had that interest in it and had a couple rental properties in the past. Have had to sell a couple of them, have a rental property now. But right now, with, like we said, the interest rates being so high and living in Denver, that it's really tricky right now to buy rental properties and cash flow a decent profit, a couple $100 a month because of how high interest rates are. You can only charge so much money for rent and just how really much capital that you do need upfront to buy rental properties, especially in Denver. So that was something that I used to really focus on, trying to get as many doors as possible for the long term. But right now, I think for the short-term picture, really doing the fix and flips because it's a lot quicker, right? You can still make money in 3 to 6 months. And so I think the fix
And
and
what you're
flip.
saying is that your profit margin is higher, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so I think just right now trying to build that cash, fix and flips are the way to do that. Because there's again, yeah, still margins to be made, but I think once I have enough capital stashed away from flipping houses, then I'm going to go back to the more traditional long-term rental property approach.
Okay,
But
well, thank you for sharing that perspective. I'm so glad that we're having this conversation today because the market is crazy and there are so many perceptions out there that may not be true and they may be true. I'm not going to tell people what theirs is or isn't, but somebody like you that is thriving in a down market and high interest rates, and this is how you're doing, you pivoted into something that is profitable. You were doing it a certain way before, and you're like, wait, this isn't working anymore. I don't see this working right now. How can I do it differently? And you found a better way and a different way. So that
absolutely.
is the true spirit of an entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's never going to be, not all the time is going to be perfect, right? In business, whatever industry that you're in. And so you got to just learn to adapt with what the market's doing and how to really outpace your competition and just adjust to what's going to work right now that might not work in 3 to 5 years. And what
Mhm.
maybe didn't work in the past, but now is the perfect time to do that. And so, I mean, back to the real estate, the wealth really is built over those long-term rental properties and having as many doors as possible down the road.
Mhm.
But again, the barrier to entry is very tricky when it comes to capital and having to put, 15 to
Mhm.
20% down on every single door. Um, the average person, it's kind of tricky to do that once or twice a year. So yeah, just building
Wow,
up that cash through flipping houses right now will eventually allow me to get back into the long-term rental properties.
that's awesome. I
Yeah,
love watching you build your empire. It's so much fun.
thank you. I appreciate it. Definitely, always speed bumps with everything, like you're in
Uh-huh.
business, like any other entrepreneur, always faces speed bumps, but that's what keeps us on our toes.
Yes, definitely. It also keeps us climbing higher.
Yeah, absolutely. It sure does. I
Yes.
mean, yeah, always making ourselves better by having to adjust and
Mhm.
learn and adapt. So, if
Every
you
time I look back at my pivots, and every time I've had to pivot, it's like, oh, there's another pillar I need to build for my empire. Oh,
yeah,
there's another pillar I need to build for my empire. But when you're forced to pivot, you're like, wait, hold on, what's happening?
exactly.
You're not sure what to do with it at the moment.
What's going on? But it's going to push you to continuously grow and to be okay with being uncomfortable
Yeah.
because yeah, it's not always going to be perfect. And if you can stay ready, you never have to get ready, right? I think that's a great saying.
Mhm.
And so, that's with any business, any industry. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of where it all goes. But for right now, yeah, the fix and flip um, model, I guess, is what's working for me.
That's great. So, where did you get your funding to start your real estate business?
Yeah. So let's see, a
And
couple years.
I want to share, I just want to jump in real quick. I want to share this with the audience because it's not always black and white how people start their businesses. And sometimes you get funding from different places, or you have savings or an inheritance, or whatever the case is. So, just to encourage the listeners who are thinking about starting a business and they're thinking about it too black and white, I want you to share your story. You don't have to talk numbers, just please share your story with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll kind of give you a background. So prior to right now, back in 2021, I started a dry cleaning business. Um, Things were going great, and then a couple months down the road, there was some
Why
issues.
why dry cleaning?
There was a very big need for it. There was,
Okay.
yeah, a great market for it. And it was very successful. It was great. I mean, our sales were through the roof for the first couple months, but there was just some issues with the franchise that they did not abide by their franchise agreement that we signed. So,
Mhm.
anyways, long story short, was doing great with that, and then had to close doors. Unfortunately, pretty much lost everything financially. Had to sell my
Oh,
house, had to sell the rental property. Yeah, pretty much everything that I had built up and accumulated at that time, lost it all.
but
Um,
that's typical. That's typical for anybody that builds a substantial wealth.
right, exactly,
Not
exactly.
fun to go through, but typical.
Not fun. Not fun at all. Yeah, not fun at all. Um, Fast forward about 6 months later, my stepdad passed away, unfortunately. Yeah, just a crazy time of life for me, and my family, of course.
Mhm.
Through that, inherited some money. Ended up buying a house here in Denver with that. Paid off some debt, and it was just kind of, just thinking what to do from here. Obviously was working full time. That was it with when I was with PNC Bank,
Mhm.
now at Ent Credit Union, and so just kind of, yeah, really took a step back and figured out what should I do from here. Yeah, I ended up taking out a home equity line of credit on my house that I had purchased to be able to use as an initial investment into getting into my first property. And so, yeah, a business partner and I from there, we found a good property, and yeah, like I said, I tapped into the equity that I had bought in the house on an inheritance
Mhm.
from my stepdad, um, and then used that home equity line of credit to put as a down payment on the property as well as the rehab costs that we needed. So yeah,
Okay.
definitely not a traditional way of financing. I had saved up all this capital, bought a house, bought a rental
Mhm.
property, a couple rental properties, had to sell everything, get back on my feet. And then unfortunately, when my stepdad passed away, yeah, had some inheritance, bought a new house, and then took out a home equity line of credit on
Yeah.
that house to put towards funding my first property.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's a raw story of doing your best and then probably at no fault to you, the bottom falls out. It's happened to me. Like there was nothing that I did wrong per se. It was just life happened. And then life has a way of turning things around. So the bottom was knocked out for you, but then boom, all of a sudden you have an inheritance that helps you get back on your feet.
Right.
So I just see it as like, something that I believe in is that life will always work for us and help us out, even though it may not seem like it always is. And this is a perfect story of if we just wait long enough, we'll see how life is working on our behalf.
Yep. Absolutely. And I you know, would never take any amount of money to, have somebody go through the pain of losing someone,
Of
right? I
course,
pay every cent that I've got to my name to have my stepdad back and
of
my
course.
first back. But yeah, unfortunately, and I know my stepdad would want me to use that money. He was an entrepreneur, had a very successful business as well.
Mm.
And so I know that he would want me to continue that path and continue being an entrepreneur and investing in things that obviously we enjoy and turning it into hopefully a full-time business one day. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Yeah.
no, so it was that was the way we got into our first deal. I found a hard money lender. I'm sure people who flip houses and are familiar with real estate understanding of what a hard money lender is. They don't when you're looking to buy a property, you have to put 10 to 15% down, but they
Hmm.
don't look at your personal income. They don't look at your personal credit. They don't look at tax returns. They don't look at any of that. They simply look at the property. And if they like the property, then they will, basically buy it as a traditional mortgage. But you're
Okay.
looking at the 13, 14% interest rates. So it's very high. But they can close on properties within a week. And so that's
Okay.
how the real estate flipping industry is you got to be ready to go. You can't wait 30 days like a typical mortgage process, right? Of getting approved and going under contract. It's quick. So yeah, they financed, I think 85% of the property that we bought. So we had to come up with obviously the 15% down, my business
Okay.
partner and I. And then yeah, we paid for the rehab costs as well on that property.
Wow.
So
Incredible. I love learning so much. And I'm learning from you today, which is awesome and wonderful. And I know that our listeners are going to learn from it as well. You're peeling back the curtain because, people talk about having a fix and flip business and it looks glamorous and it looks like there's a lot of potential there for monetary gain, but nobody really knows what goes on behind the scenes.
right.
So thank you for sharing some of those details. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I really enjoy it. It's yeah, definitely a passion of mine, and eventually would love to get to be able to do that full time.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's fun stuff. There's always something. There's always solutions, and there's always going to be problems. It's never going to go perfect, but there's always ways around it.
Always a solution. I love that.
Yep, exactly,
It's one of
exactly.
my philosophies too. No matter what comes our way, there's always a solution.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know you hear about all these people who are successful real estate investors now, and the average person just probably thinks it's so easy to do that, but that's just the tip of the iceberg that people see. Nobody saw
Mhm.
what this person went through, what their journey was on how to get there, and the battles that they faced. The more that I get into real estate and just back into it, I guess, and flipping, the
Mhm.
more I have an appreciation and respect for people who are now, have a very successful business doing this, whether they do flips or if they have rental properties that they own.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. And the tip of the iceberg that you talked about, it's like people see where we're at, but they don't see what we've done to get there. So something that I love talking about is my empire and the pillars of my coaching empire, because a lot of people make assumptions and they're incorrect. Like 99.9% of the time, people's assumptions about me and about my business and about what I've done throughout my life in coaching, it's incorrect. So for me to help people to the best of my ability, it's important to talk about the different pillars and how long did it take to create those. And some of them are ongoing, some are not. It's like continuing to grow my expertise as a coach has been happening for decades, and that is going to continue for the remainder of my existence on this earth, right? So that's going to continue. That's one pillar that's always in place. Now, another pillar is, let's say, in my book. Okay, well, that's in place. I don't need to do much with it except for talk about it, market it, that type of thing, right?
Mhm.
Um, but that's a gentle conversation. It's not something that I have to work on creating anymore because it's there.
Right.
Or coaches that I've trained. So I have coaches that can take up the slack for me. And if it's not a good fit for me, I can send them to one of these coaches that I've worked with. And that's been another pillar. And I started that one about 10 years ago because I knew the trajectory of where I was headed. I knew that I needed that in place. So that's one of my pillars. Another one is speaking. So I am a public speaker, not just a podcast host, but I'm a public speaker. That journey for me started at 10 years old. I'm 43 now. So I knew I had a vision and a knowing and an understanding, because when you're a kid, sometimes you know what you're going to do. And throughout my journey as a kid, I had these little knowings at different times that would tell me, hey, this is what you need to do. And one of them was, you're going to be a public speaker. What? It's
Right.
probably the second scariest day of my life. Coming from somebody that was so shy and like petrified to even think about getting on stage.
Mm,
So that's another one of my pillars that is ongoing.
mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, what pillars do we have to build our empire? And do we have the patience to do it? Do we have the conviction to do it? Right? Because a lot of people are squirrels, shiny object syndrome. Squirrel. Wait, oh, wait, maybe this is a quick fix to lots of money. Oops, let me go over here. Maybe this is a quick fix to lots of money. Oops, let me go over here. Right? And they
Yep.
never get the chance to build something substantial and great because they're always chasing the quick dollar.
Yep. Exactly.
So it is so, so, so important for people to have the certainty of what they're doing and then the wherewithal to have the patience to do it over years and decades and build that empire.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, that's just my little soapbox because people do not see what's underneath our external perceived success.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with everything that you just said. We live in a world where everybody just wants that short-term satisfaction, that real quick money. How can I make the most amount of money in the quickest way possible and not have to do much about it? Which
Mhm.
obviously everybody kind of wants one way or another. That nobody's going to be opposed to that, right? But that's never the process that works. And I definitely have learned that through my career and through my journey. But yeah, we unfortunately live in a world that's like that. We see all these recently the GameStop stock market stuff. I don't know if you've seen that, but
No.
it's just the whole thing. Everybody wants to day trade in the stock market and make all this money real quick, and um, and so I think that's just the expectation that people think when they invest in the stock market that oh, I'm not going to invest for 40 years and make 10% returns every year. I want to make 200% returns in 3 weeks off of the Bitcoin stuff, off the
Yeah.
GameStop, and so yeah, it's a price people pay, and they learn the hard way. So uh,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And I'm all for taking risks because I'm a risk
yeah,
taker. That's how I've gotten where I'm at is through taking risks my entire life. But there's something to be said about being able to see the big picture, be certain that the path that you're on, and be patient and diligent enough to stay on it for decades to come so that you can have that empire. Because, like, people stagnate if
mm,
they're just chasing the shiny object. If they're squirrels, squirrels
right.
stagnate. They only get so far in life. But I believe that everyone has so much potential inside of them that they have yet to realize if they would just put blinders on and focus
Mm,
and build one thing and build it right.
yep,
And then if it works, great. If it doesn't, pivot or figure out something else and go build that thing.
100%. Yep, get good at one
Right.
thing first, focus all your energy there, and then yeah, once you're able to, maybe go build on something else.
Mhm.
Yeah, when I was running my dry cleaning business, I was trying to figure out solutions for the biggest problem and looking at so many different avenues to go. And at the time, the guy that I was doing business with, who was helping me out, kind of my mentor, the best thing he told me was don't spread yourself too thin.
There you
And
go.
I think that's just a great saying in every aspect of our life, with people,
Mhm.
with our job, with our investments. It's like if you're trying to, just kind of dip your toes in everything, you're never going to get far with, those certain couple things that you want to really focus on. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good lesson.
Or we only have so much energy each day. So spreading ourselves too thin could look like we need to put some boundaries on our life and make some sacrifices in certain areas and say no to that party or say no to dating if you're single or say no to specific things so that you can focus because we're not endless amounts of energy every day. Like we get tired and we have to go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's
Mhm.
like, yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're trying to give 10% on 10 different things, as opposed to maybe, 100% on one thing beginning and then building from there. So, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's tough, right? It's tough to have that discipline.
Well, I think it comes with being certain about your bigger purpose and your bigger mission.
Hmm.
So I have that discipline because I'm certain. I've been certain about being a world changer since I was 8 years old.
Hmm.
So it gives me great discipline and it helps me to set the right boundaries within my world so that I'm on point and staying on the right path. And I'm not allowing things to distract me or I'm not allowing things to suck my energy out.
Right.
So purpose is a huge part of it and knowing, okay, what path am I on? So I encourage everyone to really figure out, okay, am I on the right path? What is my bigger purpose? What's the meaning to my life? And then go from there.
Yep.
So
100%.
one thing I want to add in real quick is when we're building an empire, you only need to focus on the step in front of you. And that's each day because some of the steps don't reveal themselves until later. Some of the pillars don't reveal themselves until later. So if we focus on the steps, and that's what I've done, I have blindly focused on the steps in front of me each day, but still seeing the bigger picture to a point. Because even though we think we can see the big picture fully, we can't because we just can't. That's the part of us that desires to control everything. So allowing myself to see vaguely the big picture because I can't determine fully how that unfolds. Life just doesn't work that way. But then bringing it down to the daily of what are the steps in front of me today? Let me go do that well and focus on those and be fully present for those.
Mhm. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Working to get 1% better every single day and not
Mhm.
taking a step back, but just, yeah, accepting what's given to you that day. Yeah, because you never know what tomorrow's going to be like, and just rolling with it and making the best of it and being confident in your decisions and in those choices that you make, and just, you know, keep on keeping on.
Yeah. So I listen to my intuition. Some people call it their gut. And most people who've created anything great listen to their gut slash intuition. That's what I'm listening for. I'm listening for the truth coming from that deeper place. Okay, what do I really need to focus on today? Because we can get distracted with a bunch of different things throughout the day, even, right? So it's like taking time to just be quiet enough to hear your intuition, to hear your gut, to listen to that deeper guidance and that truth that is resounding inside of all of us or resonating even within us. But yet a lot of people don't take time to listen to it. So they're kind of like on this hamster wheel,
Right.
right?
Yep.
So what
Yep.
can you add to that? What's your experience in that space?
I think just, yeah, taking some time for yourself, right? And not trying to just overload yourself with so many things to do. You know, we again, we live in this society of, let's fill up our calendars as much as possible. Let's have as many meetings as possible. We got to hit
Mhm.
150% quota this month, whatever the case may be, which, is a great thing to an extent, where it's like, if you're going to just completely drain yourself out, you're not going to have any time for yourself to sit back and think of the big picture and really
Mhm.
take time to focus on what you want down the road. Take time to focus on what are your priorities in life? What do you think is successful to you? Because every person looks at success in a different way. You know,
Mhm.
people could be money, um, could be building a family. To me, success is being a great father, being a good husband, and just being there to
Being a
support,
great leader.
being a great leader. Exactly.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so sometimes that's not all monetized, right? But
Mhm.
yeah, I think just really taking time to yourself to sit down and think about the big picture. And it's okay to be selfish and turn off your phone. Again, we live in this world
Mhm.
where we're supposed to be available at all times to everyone, to answer phone calls, to answer texts, to answer emails. It's like,
Not
no,
me.
yeah, you got to have boundaries, right?
Yeah.
And distancing yourself away from all the distractions, I think, is a huge, huge proponent, to
Mhm.
really set yourself some time to read, to write goals, and just to, um, have time to yourself to just brainstorm ideas. Because when our brains are just so full of other stuff going on, we can't take time to facilitate the things that we want to see. So
Yes.
I think taking time to ourselves and um, distancing ourselves from, all the distractions is huge.
Yeah, for sure. So something I like to do or to say is to call that the empire endurance. So
Mm-hmm.
if you burn out, you're going to lose your momentum, and momentum is one of the biggest keys of keep going year after year, decade after decade. So for me, I want to be the turtle
Yeah.
that like takes their time each day and gets there, right? But I don't concern myself with burnout.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that burnout is not an option because if I burn out, everything crumbles.
Right. Yep, exactly. And that's how it is. It's like if you're not your best self, you can't help others and be a good leader in things that they need, or, you can't do your coaching 100%
Mhm.
if you're not 100%, right? If you're worn
Right.
out and burnt out 24/7, you're not going to be able to do your due diligence to those people who need you and who want to learn from you. Because you're just, yeah, so tired and burnt out that's doing a disservice to them.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is. And you never gain full speed either. You never gain that full momentum. If
right.
you're constantly on this, like, let's go full on and then burn out and then full on and burn out, like
Hmm.
the train doesn't get a chance to get the momentum.
Right. Exactly. If there's no gas in the tank, it's not going anywhere. Oh,
Yeah, for sure. So let's go ahead and wrap up for today's episode. And one thing I love to ask people is, what do you do to keep a wealthy mind?
to keep a wealthy mind, I think honestly for me is just reading. Um,
Mm,
I I've set my goals for 2024 are to at least read 4 books. I know that probably doesn't sound the best, but 4 new business wealth books this year. I just I'm not the and that's something I'm trying to work on too, is just being more focused and disciplined when I'm reading because yeah, four
mm,
books a year, that should not be too tough. But for me, that's a good goal. So I think, yeah, just reading and continuously learning, because there's always going to be new ways to have that wealthy mindset. And so right now I'm reading, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, what's the book that I'm reading? Hold
I
on.
don't know. What is it?
It is, hold on. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I just started.
Oh, I love that book.
I don't know why I just drew a brain fart there. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I just started it a couple nights ago, and it's great. Um,
Yes.
and so, yeah, just having that wealthy mindset, just continuing to get better and learn from people who have gone through those shoes. Um,
Yes.
so,
I absolutely love that book. Now,
mhm.
there's a college edition where it's like 7 or 8 books
Mm,
that were originally written and then condensed into what you're reading.
okay.
So I've read both. I've read the condensed version and I've read the extended versions. It's incredible.
Okay. I think, yeah, I'm reading, I think the extended version, yeah, I forget how many chapters, but yeah,
No,
it's,
we're talking books. It's like 8 books, like legit books, like 300 pages each. So
oh, wow. Okay. So
yeah, yeah,
I'm probably reading the condensed version then.
you are. Most people
Yeah.
only know about the condensed version.
Yeah. One day I'll get there to the extended version. I can
Hey, you got
only
to start
focus.
somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can only focus on one book for a certain amount of time. So something that I'm
Hmm.
working on as well.
Oh,
Uh,
good on you, and no judgment. I mean, as long as you're doing it. I don't read a ton of books a year, but I read every day. So
okay.
I'm a slow reader and I like to absorb. I don't just fly
Sure.
through the book. I want to absorb it. So I'm a very slow reader.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that and I think just listening to podcasts from people who I definitely am inspired by. I think
Oh,
there's
good. Okay.
always good stuff. Ed Milet, he's a great podcast. I don't know if you've heard of him, but
Mm-mm.
he's wonderful. He's a great speaker. So I've been
That's
listening to a lot
awesome.
of his podcasts lately. So any any driving time that I get, I typically throw on a podcast.
Oh, good. Okay. So to keep a wealthy mind, you like to read and listen to podcasts.
Correct. Yeah, the extended
Cool.
answer there. Sorry. I know that was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
long doggone answer, and I
But
can
that's
remember the
my,
book right away. That's not something I'm proud of.
it's okay. It's okay. We're not here to be perfect. We're here to inspire.
Been one of those days, right? I'll use that as my excuse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It has been. Well, Luke, thank you so much for being with us on the Wealthy Mind podcast. And I appreciate your time and your knowledge and your vulnerability to peel back the curtain and show us so that maybe somebody's inspired and they go start their own business.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the time, Misty. It's always great getting to chat here, and yeah, I'm always open to just sharing my knowledge and experiences. I guess on the younger side, but
Hmm.
don't have probably as much experience and knowledge as a lot of other people in this industry. But no, I love it, and just yeah, love sharing to help people because we're not taught any of this stuff growing up in real
Right,
world, right? In middle school and high
right.
school, we take some of these medieval arts classes to learn about the 1800, languages, but we're not taught how to buy a house. We're not taught how to build credit. We're not taught how to really do anything, do our taxes. And so
Start a business.
start a business, how to buy a business.
How
Exactly.
do we manage our mindset while we're going through
Right.
the mess of life?
Exactly. We're not taught any of that stuff. We're taught all this
Right.
other nonsense that's not applicable to the days that we live in right now. And so the more stuff that I can share to people, that's what I really thoroughly enjoy. So yeah, always open to just chatting about these things and answering any questions that I can be of help on.
Well, awesome. I hope we have you back in the future when you go full time with your business.
That's the plan.
That
Yes.
would be awesome. Just an update from Luke.
Yeah.
So,
I appreciate that.
anyway, thank you for your time and thank you, wonderful, wonderful podcast listeners, for being with us today. And we will catch you next time.
Thanks, Misty.
You're welcome.
Thank you for tuning in to the Wealthy Mind podcast. Please be sure to download the Wealthy Mind app today and make sure to support your local Dress for Success.